What up, family? Welcome back to another edition of the Try Life On podcast. Today is Wednesday, July the 10th. Man, I love this one. This is why I love being a podcast host. Grayson Hogard and his beautiful wife, Marie. They are the founders and operators of the Grove Cookie Company. The Grove Cookie Company, fresh cookies out of Portland, Oregon. And it's a really cool story because, and here's why I asked Grayson to come on the podcast, for you. Lifestyle businesses. I talk about them all the time. Instead of chasing a $10 million, $100 million, $1 billion thing, it is just as good to have, in Grayson's case, in Grayson and Marie's case, a high six-figure, wonderful business that you are passionate about that allows you to live the way that you want to live, feel the way that you want to feel on a day-to-day basis, because it is your version of success, not what Instagram or society is saying should be the bling bling version of success. In fact, Grayson and Marie started their company during COVID when Marie was starting to get a little bit, what is that called when you're in the house too much? Can't remember the word for it. But Marie was essentially getting bored. So she started making amazing cupcakes just as a project, just to keep herself occupied because she was working from home all the time. That cupcake project quickly turned into cookies, and they decided to shift into actually selling cookies out of their townhome in Oregon, the mom being the first customer. And then boom, an idea came up to start a full-on company, the Grove Cookie Company, with the first actual big customer being a company that was using the cookies as gifting items for their clients. And then a wonderful, wonderful, wonderful business started. That is the Grove Cookie Company. I'm not going to give a lot of this one away. Usually I try to harp on some themes in the beginning. Actually, I'll give you a few themes. One, pay attention to the fact that Grayson used a business coach. I have used business coaches quite a bit. Quattro Capital, which has $250 million of real estate under management. We used a business coach to start that business. Grayson used a business coach. Grayson and Marie used a business coach to start their business. Two, the pivot. They were originally just going to do B2C, so business to consumer direct. And now they're full-on B2B, where they are focused on companies that use them as a gifting service. And C, how did he do it? How do you go from idea to execution in your home, to moving to a facility, to hiring employees, to getting yourself to the point where you have a high six-figure business, which allowed Grayson this past year to leave his 9-to-5 fully, be a stay-at-home dad with his 1-year-old Robinson, I believe, and him and Marie are just two peas in a pod, kicking butt, taking names, and living life as they should. Living life plugged into earth and planet as intended, as I say. This is a great lifestyle business. I talk about this all the time. Lifestyle businesses are awesome, whether it's a 5-bedroom bed and breakfast in Greece, or a cookie company in Portland, Oregon, or a laundromat service, a coin laundromat service, which people buy all the time. The business is facilitating their life. Their life is not controlled by the business. And that's why I love this story so much. It was a great conversation, and I hope you use it as fuel, because a lot of you have these amazing ideas that just because peers, coworkers, family, and neighbors have some opinion about it, you haven't jumped on it. Well, these guys jumped on it. They have a thriving business. And as we speak right now, I'm waiting for Grayson to mail me my cookie. Listen to this. Apply it to your own use case. Get motivation from it. There are so many people who are executing on lifestyle businesses and giving back to community and having a wonderful family and social life because of the business that they chose. These guys are trying life on, and I'm so proud to have met them. In fact, at the end of the conversation, Grayson was talking about how he's been following me on social media. I've been following him on social media, right? So there's a mutual respect there, and I think this story will help a lot of you. Grayson is a military veteran like me, so that's another string in my heart, if you will. So I was very happy to talk to him. I think you will really enjoy the conversation. So sit back, relax. I didn't get Marie on the line, but I did get Grayson, and I think you're going to enjoy the conversation. So enjoy it. The Grove Cookie Company out of Portland, Oregon, with my man, Grayson Hogard. What's up,
Um,
man?
well, we're good. I actually just put my son down. He just went to bed,
Yeah. Yeah.
so it's perfect timing. I got the notification at 10:05, and I'm like, he was already starting to get fussy, and normally
Yeah,
I let
man.
him a little more fussy, so he just goes right to bed. But no, he's pretty good.
I
So
love it. How
yeah,
old is he and what's his name?
his name's Raymond, and
Raymond. Okay.
he just turned 1 on July
Oh,
4th.
a young guy.
Yeah,
Okay. A
yeah.
young guy.
So
Yeah. Come on out, Raymond. Pay some taxes.
yeah, yeah, seriously. So, it's been a solid year. He's been great.
Yeah.
Wife
Fantastic.
and I.
And where are you physically?
We're in
You're
Portland,
in
Oregon.
Portland. Yeah. Actually, I know your story, and then it
Suburb.
just came back
Yeah.
to me. So, yeah, I know where you are and stuff.
Yeah.
Well, it's good to meet you.
Yeah.
So while the coffee is brewing, and I totally get it, and this is super casual, dude. So
Yeah.
grab some coffee when you want to grab it. I'm that kind of
Okay.
cat.
Okay.
I don't know how I found you, but you guys are my heroes a little bit. I really appreciate you and Marie. And so I started this platform called Try Life On because when I was working the traditional world, I didn't like the notion of you got to follow the status quo path. I was an executive at a consulting firm for 25 years. I was a federal agent in the military, retired as a lieutenant colonel after 22 years. I was a street cop for 15 years. I'm still doing real estate after 27 years. I've been to 100 countries. I've started a bunch of businesses. And I think there's so many people out there like Grayson and Maurice who are just, they're doing something and they have this inner spirit to go try something different. And I know you were doing a side hustle at some point, and then it
Yeah.
turned into the Growth Cookie Company, and you
Hmm.
and Marie leaped and what have you. And dude, I think there's so many people who want to take that leap and want to try something different and maybe
Yeah.
even consider it more of a lifestyle business than this big monstrosity thing that we have to
Hmm.
create, which I'm not interested in either. And
Yeah.
that's what drew me to you was like my listenership wants to quote unquote try life on in different ways. They get nervous about it, but here's Grace and Marie doing this awesome. I don't know if we'll talk about it. I don't know if you'll call it a lifestyle business or a traditional business, but that's
Yeah.
your interpretation. But anytime I find such a wonderful example, I try to amplify it because it's just a beautiful thing.
Well, I appreciate it. Yeah. How we got connected is because I found you on LinkedIn because,
Yeah.
you are not an influencer, you are not a guru, you're just like real. And the way you position yourself within like LinkedIn and how much you share
Mm.
obviously gravitated towards me. Plus, at that point in time when I got on LinkedIn, I still had my corporate job.
Okay. Yeah.
So, like when I saw what you were doing and how, well, you've had like 10 different lives, but and so
Fair enough, brother. Fair enough.
that's how I got connected with you. Is really
Yeah, and I don't know if
following
I
you
reached out
and
to you. You should doesn't matter. But I'm
yeah,
happy to
yeah, yeah,
I'm happy
yeah,
to meet you, brother. And
yeah.
who's the it said veteran known. Who's the military connection? I couldn't figure that one
I
out.
am. I
You
am.
are. Where
Yeah.
when were you
Army.
in? What did you do? You were Army.
Army.
Right on.
Yeah.
Right on.
So yeah, joined in 2009, the reserves, and then deployed in 2011
Mm-hmm.
to
Mm-hmm.
Afghanistan, and then yeah, I got out in 2017. So
2017. Thanks for the
yeah,
service, brother. Anytime I
yeah,
see that,
no
I'm
worries.
happy to see it. So tell me, like how just intro Grayson. Just intro Grayson.
Yeah,
Let's just start that way.
yeah. Well, I'm Grayson, and I am just a normal dude.
My
Number
man.
one,
Yeah.
and yeah, my wife and I started a cookie company in 2021, kind of that COVID pandemic timeframe, Yeah, my wife in 2020 started getting, a little just stir crazy, just being in the
Yeah.
house so long and meetings, and she has her corporate job, and so she was like, I want a hobby. And
Mm-hmm.
it started with cupcakes for like a week, and then it
Mm-hmm.
moved to cookies because I'm just a cookie person. And anyways, 2021 rolled around and we decided to launch our really just like let's put cookies on Instagram and see if anyone buys them type of deal. That's my story as of the last 3 years. But if you go back further, born and raised in Portland, Oregon, I feel like I had a very normal life. Normal is give or take
Relative.
with
Yep.
that. Yeah.
Yeah.
But always had a solid like family, friend group and support system.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, moving out through high school, joined the military.
Mm-hmm.
Kind of at that time joining the military, I was fortunate enough to get a contract job through the government Department of Energy.
Oh, nice.
And yeah, so kind of right when I got back from basic training and AIT, because I was in reserves,
Yep.
I got brought on there, and I actually ended up working there for 14 years. So hired on as full-time employee at 23,
At
and
23.
then at
What
23
what
years
job did you
old,
say that? AIT?
AIT was basic training in
Oh,
AIT.
the
So
basic
basic
training. Yeah,
training
yeah,
in
yeah.
AIT, you come back home. Yeah, so
Yeah.
that's how the reserves work. Yeah, so then my job at it's called Bonneville Power Administration. As part of the Department of Energy. Yeah, I started there as a contractor, and then by 23, I was a full-time
Nice.
employee. And my whole background is in logistics. So when we start intertwining this into the cookie company, you can
Yeah.
see how it kind of worked.
It's a
And
product
it,
like anything else.
yeah, a product, and there's logistics on the back end,
No
right?
doubt.
So, but yeah, that's my story.
Yeah.
And
It's
yeah,
it's
just
it's a good old family man story. There
it,
doesn't need to be some outrageous thing to it. How long did you
yeah,
end up at Bonneville Power?
14 years.
You did 14 years there. You did 14 years.
Yeah,
Cool.
I just left in April.
Oh, so you've been working both at the same time? Oh, we got some shit to talk about. Okay, cool.
Yeah, yeah,
All right, brother.
yeah.
When did you meet? When did Marie come into the picture? Because I know she's so central to the story.
Yeah, Marie and I first met in 2015 in Chicago.
In Chicago. Mm.
Yeah, a very cool story. Two of our friends who are now married linked us up in Chicago because they were living there at the time. And so, Marie and I were both single. Yeah, so we went down there, hit it off. And, while we were down there, we realized we were currently living a mile away from each other back in Portland.
Mm.
Um,
Oh, how random.
yeah. And so we just hit it off, and Marie and I really gel well, personality and everything else. And so, yeah, so came back home, and it's all she wrote.
Love it.
And
Love
yeah,
it.
we married in 2020, October.
And
So,
then you have the one son now.
yep,
Right on.
Raymond.
Right on.
And he
Yeah,
was
Raymond.
born July 4th, 2023. So,
My man Raymond. Come on out, pay some
yeah.
taxes, brother. So I would love to hear and for the folks listening, love to hear the genesis of the Grove Cookie Company, because as I was telling you before, one of the things I try to do with the Try Life On podcast is present people not only with the mindset of people who decide to make a shift from the standard, let's just say 9 to 5, into some entrepreneurial endeavor. And by the way, there's nothing wrong with 9 to 5. I think 9 to 5
Yeah.
is some people's purpose. I love being a police officer. That was
Yeah.
not a 9 to 5, but that was at 8:30 p.m. to 6:30 a.m.
Yeah. You
Little
had
bit
a
different, a little
little
bit
different.
different. Yeah, but there's so many opportunities to take an amazing idea like you and Marie had. So now I understand that during COVID, it was a hobby, starting with
Yeah.
cupcakes, moved on to a cookie idea, and then somewhere along the line, something tripped in you and Marie's mind, and the Grove Cookie Company was born in some capacity. Can you walk us through that? Because lots of people have ideas, lots of people have hobbies and side hustles that could become something. They're
Yeah.
just nervous to do it. So walk us through that genesis of how that all happened.
Yeah. Gosh, again, it was the end of 2020 when this kind of like whole like side hustle idea popped into my wife's head. And I thought it was a great idea for her at the time. I was still traveling during
Mm.
2020. And yeah, we just got some great feedback from the cookies. Have we sent you cookies yet, by the way?
Nah, I would love
We'll
to.
change that. We'll
Yeah,
change that
please.
after this.
Please, my man,
So,
my man.
yeah, we just got great feedback over the holidays of 2020. And so 2021 rolled around. My wife was like, I really want to sell these.
Mm.
I have always wanted some sales or marketing role because, in your corporate job, you're doing some form of sales or marketing to persuade people, right?
Hmm.
And yeah, so she's like, I really want to launch this. And I'm like, all right, well, let's come up with some names. And we landed on Grove Cookie Company because Grove is my wife's maiden name. So
Hmm.
I think the biggest hurdle, and I hear this quite often, is like people don't know where to start. Like, how do you even like get like a business set up?
Yep.
And well, I never knew how to do it.
Yep.
And it actually is the easiest thing in the world.
Mm.
Like from a registration standpoint, from a bank account standpoint. And I that was like my biggest hurdle mentally. I was like, gosh, this got to be so hard to start. And then anyways, it took a weekend.
Yeah.
Logo, website, EIN, bank account, like it was nothing.
Say that again. I just want people to hear that again. Go ahead. Logo.
Logo, website, EIN, bank account. I mean, everything under the sun
That's it.
was done in a weekend. And
That's it.
I could have done it in like, I mean, I could fire one up in like an hour right now.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
I mean, so like once you get that out of the way and you have something you want to start, like it could be anything, right? We
For
did
sure.
cookies, sewing, the list goes on of things you can do from your house in your
Hmm.
spare time. It's just so funny how that all worked because again, I just thought I was just doing what I was thought was right, like just being a good husband. Honestly, that
Yeah.
was like my whole mindset. I was like, oh, that'd be some fun I could do on the side and help my wife and make her happy. And so yeah, so January 31st, 2021 was like our first day. My mom bought our first box of cookies. We were rolling. So how all this really pivoted very quickly from like what we had in our minds, which was like post photos of cookies on Instagram
Hmm.
and people are going to come to your townhouse in the suburbs and buy them. It changed 2 weeks in because my buddy, his father is a pretty prominent financial advisor in the Portland metro area.
Hmm.
He's huge on corporate gifting, like
Yeah.
client gifting,
Yeah.
client touch
Yeah.
points, staying top of mind. The referral business in the financial advisor game is just so strong. So he found out about the cookies. He asked if we could ship them. My background's in logistics. And yeah, so we shipped them. They got there the next day. And he's like, great. I'd like to intertwine these into my kind of like middle tier marketing strategy for 500 of our clients for
Wow.
birthdays throughout the
Wow.
year. So when you
Hmm.
like, wow, we get 500 orders a year now just from one person. So you just kind of like those light bulbs, that light bulb moment happened so quickly for us. And the cool news is they're still our client. They
They're
still
still your
order every
client.
week. Still order every week. They're like at like 2,000 orders. So it's just like those things quickly happened that we didn't
Yep.
even realize. So, anyways, from that point on, that was like middle of February. We really had put like a focus on like just servicing them at that point and just making
That
sure we
big
get
customer,
a big
relatively big for
customer.
you, customer.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Baking cookies every week, getting them to their office so they can ship them out. And yeah, about month number 4 or 5, we were just like, we should start calling other financial advisors and
I love
seeing
it.
if that really works. And really, that's how the story has unfolded so far, is just kind of acquiring new clients, getting our name out there. And yeah, now we're like a B2B corporate gifting cookie company.
Oh,
That's
so
that's what
it's morphed totally into that now, primarily.
Oh yeah,
Part
that's what we are. That's like our whole mission. That's
Fantastic. And you're just
our
going with it. You're not going against the grain and trying to get into some
nope,
other niche or something.
nope.
I think I just want to highlight a couple of things you said
Yeah.
because I think they're important to people trying to start businesses. The first thing is I was pushing you on the EIN, you know, EIN and all the things that you have to do to start the business. For me, I'm a real estate investor primarily. I'm a real estate
Yeah.
investor, but I have other businesses too, just like Try Life on Media. I do some
Hmm.
TV projects and stuff. It was just a matter of going online to a website, getting the LLC established, getting an EIN for the LLC, getting a bank account established, and maybe one or two other things depending on the style of business that you're doing. I did some trademark stuff for my stuff. The trademark stuff wasn't difficult. I'm sure you've done it as well, but
Yeah.
it was just reach out to a trademark attorney. What do I got to do?
Yeah.
I think I think a lot of times when people want to get a business started, they get so hung up on the what.
Yeah.
You can also just make one phone call and find a Grayson or a Maurice who's done it before and say, hey, what are the 5 things you did to start a business? And literally, you and I would be on the phone with that person for 60 seconds to give them what they need to do to start a business.
So true. I just saw an Instagram post of a guy I follow. He's like literally said that same thing. It's like similar to what you said, is like, don't be afraid to ask for help.
That's, I don't
Because
know why we
like
have that ego.
I have that ego too. I don't want to be looked at as silly. So I'm like, all right, ChatGPT, Google, what do I need to do? And it's like, you could just form a relationship with, anyways, it's so true that way.
Yeah.
And I really boil it down because I just think about myself. I'm like, God, I just don't want people to think I'm an idiot.
I
And, and I know that's a little harsh to say, but it's like that's my mindset. I'm like, I'll just figure it out myself. But yeah,
and I get it. And
yeah,
I get that, right? We're humans. We're all fallible and we do care about the opinions of peers, coworkers, neighbors, even family, like what they might think and all that. But I think once we put that down, it starts to become a superpower. Like no one really cares,
yeah.
actually.
No,
No one's caring that when the Grove Cookie Company started, you were going to sell out of a townhouse and now it shifted to corporate gifting. Oh man, you failed your business. No,
no.
actually, no, not at all. You pivoted. And that's the other
Yeah,
thing I wanted to just highlight is that you had an original business plan. An opportunity presented itself in the form of a customer that could provide you large orders. You pivoted your business plan and you've been going with it. Sometimes in business and especially in solopreneurship and entrepreneurship, we don't know what you don't know what you're going to run into, and you've got to be flexible and just go with it because it might end up being the thing that makes you exist for a long time. And here you are in the corporate gifting space. Uh, do you sell to retail clients too, or are you 100% corporate entities that have larger orders?
no. We do everything.
You do
Just our
everything. Okay.
marketing strategy is to individuals that value the relationship aspect of a quality gift. And we obviously focused on baked goods. And that's how we market. If you go to our website, grovecookie.com, I mean, like it's not,
I've seen it.
it's pretty inviting to
Yeah, I
anyone
like it.
that, really cherishes like those like memorable moments. We like to call it the feedback loop. Cookies are a
Yeah,
good one for that.
yeah,
Send
yeah.
cookies, get a response. So yeah, we do everything. We've just kind of have through the years, through the last 3 years, we've really kind of like honed in on two different niches as far as like a ideal customer,
Yeah.
if you will. So
Can you express actually one the two things that came to mind. One, how did you learn how to? I know you're in logistics, so it might be tied to that. And for the folks listening, leverage your skill set from your employment to do something entrepreneurial. You guys have learned. We've learned so much in corporate or whatever you're doing.
yeah,
Those skills are transferable to start a business or have a side hustle or whatever.
yeah,
But for you, how did you learn about the shipping? How do
yeah.
you ship baked goods? There's heat, there's cold issues, there's perishable good issues.
Mhm.
How does that work, and how did you learn about it? Because it's not
Yeah.
something, we didn't learn about that in school, right? So
No.
how did that work for you?
Yeah. So you alluded to it perfectly. It was my corporate background. Like I started in a warehouse, shipping and receiving, and the whole back end, almost like the grungy part of logistics, which is the people moving the product by hand or by forklift.
Yep, yep.
So just from working in the various areas in that warehouse, you just kind of learn how like packaging is supposed to happen. You learn
Yeah.
about the different shipping speeds, like, what's 2 day versus 3 day, which is, there's a few different ways of doing that. And then how to like package a box. So
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
cookies don't, rattle around and then break. They are stuck in the box and they're not gonna, get jostled by UPS man throwing them in the back of a semi.
What
So
about heat?
yeah,
Especially
so
is that an issue?
heat is a heat is an interesting one because the way the boxes are situated, because the way when you get your cookies, you'll see it. It's a box in a box wrapped in like fill paper.
Yeah.
So it's semi-insulated, not a lot. So if you leave it in a mailbox over the weekend, over a hot summer, week, they're gonna get gooey.
Okay.
But even just in transit from our location in Portland to Austin, Texas, or New York, they'll be just fine. It's just all dependent on how long they're sitting outside. So
Do you suggest an ideal like uh you should eat this cookie by?
yeah, so just on our cookies, on the box itself,
Yeah.
comes like an ingredient card and it says, 7 to 10 days of the shipping label because we bake and ship all in the same day.
You bake
S-
and ship same like you
oh yeah,
bake to ship. bake
Yeah.
to ship, essentially.
Yes. Yeah. So like for today, we have 161 orders going out. So all 161 orders, it's like, I think it was like 1,700 cookies are all baked this morning.
What?
And then the team will let them cool, package them, box them up, prepare them for shipping. UPS and USPS will come and pick them up.
Okay, you just
That's
blew my mind a little
logistics.
bit. Yeah, man. Hold on, wait.
Yeah.
I'm fascinated by this because you started in a townhouse. I know you made a shift to a facility somewhere in Portland. How how do you make the shift to a facility? How did you know
Yeah.
it was time to go to the facility?
Oh,
And
this is a
how
good
did
story.
you yeah, this is because
Yeah.
this is the natural shift from I've had the shift in real estate, but it's very different. We're talking about a product
Yeah.
and real time goods, which is awesome to me. And it's
Mhm.
not Amazon, which is even better.
Yeah.
But when did you shift from the townhouse, your oven in the kitchen, to look, we got to get a facility? How did you find the facility? And how do you get the employees to staff the facility?
Yeah. Our move to our bakery was not our choice. So
Okay.
Oregon
Okay.
is interesting. We have what's called a cottage baking law. So
Okay.
you can bake goods in your house as long as you
Mhm.
meet, sanitary requirements, which my wife and I did. You can bake goods and sell them at a farmer's market. People can come to your house and buy them. It's not a common law like in Washington, just north of us. They don't have
Yeah.
that law. I mean, yeah. So, anyways, we just got luck. We just got lucky with that. But what we were doing that was frowned upon is we were shipping our cookies. So when the Oregon Department of
Oh,
Agriculture found out, because I was asking questions, uh, they were like, you need to move your operation out of the house into your own bakery.
you were
We,
asking them questions, and
I was asking them
you kind of went to them.
questions.
Yeah.
Yeah, I went to them because I was like, we should probably get our kitchen certified. Because like once
Uh,
you get your kitchen certified, you can like you can exceed the revenue. So it was like $20,000 a year. You can't exceed that if you're baking in your house. We were exceeding that. And so I was just like thinking like, hey, we should probably get our kitchen certified. We don't have pets or anything. So it would have been easy. But
yeah.
I talked too much and she started digging and she found out what we did. So yeah, she's like, you guys need to move in order to continue your operation. And so that spurred us into looking for a space and
Mhm. Did she
over
shut you down in the interim? Did you have to stop?
no.
She's just like, it's time for you guys to go.
Yeah, yeah,
Thanks for
yeah,
telling us, but we want to get
yeah.
you to the right thing.
Yes, yeah,
I see. I
yeah,
think that people like we automatically you ran into a good person. That's clear.
yeah, yeah,
But we automatically get into this adversarial sense with local government and what have you of like, hey, I'm doing this in my business. I don't want to tell them because they're going to do something to find me or shut me down.
yeah,
I think in sometimes in actuality, you want to find the issues before it causes a problem down the road, right? I would rather do things the right way and pay the fees and get everything set up the right way and be a good steward for that local jurisdiction because then they're going to go to bat for you when there is an issue.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. And yeah, so that was April. Yeah, April, March timeframe of 2022.
2022. Gotcha.
Yeah, so then we spent, 2 months looking for a space. And
Mm.
it just so happened like it's like 4 miles away. We have like it's called a flex office space, which you're probably familiar with. It
Yeah.
has like a back end, like little warehouse that we reconverted into a kitchen space. You got to get all sorts of requirements in that, and it's expensive. So, yeah, once we found that space, we were like, all right, how do we fund this? We
Hmm.
were making money, but it's not enough to fund a new bakery and build it out, new equipment. So, took out a home equity line of credit.
Hmm.
I was very fortunate that I've owned this townhouse since 2013.
So
So,
you
I
had
mean,
some
I
equity
bought
sitting
it.
in it. Yeah.
Yeah, I bought it at like rock bottom pricing. So, took out a home equity line of credit and began building out that bakery space.
Wow.
We have always had a business coach.
Mhm.
So
Oh, okay.
that
Business coach comes into
very,
play.
very,
Very
very
important.
useful. Very
Yeah.
useful. We met her through cookies at
Okay.
Cars and Coffee, which is like an event thing. People
Okay.
bring their nice cars. Anyways, she was one of those people, and she's like, I would love to coach you guys.
Yeah.
So working with her allowed me and my wife to like really get regimented on like what we need to be checking off, like creating the checklist, creating the SOPs,
Yes.
creating all
Yes.
these like steps that you know, you could figure it out on your own, but it's gonna create, you're gonna get holes. She did a good job because we were meeting every 2 weeks of just like, hey, how's the progress going? What have you gotten done? You know, what is this looking like? How is this looking? And so it was a very cool process. And then so
Yeah.
we moved in to our shop September 17th, September 18th,
But the specs for the
2022.
shop, the specs for you weren't a cookie guy before, right?
No,
This is all
no.
new. So
Yeah.
you'll see what I'm getting at. I'm trying to
Yeah.
give people information to get over their fears.
Yeah.
Fears are just thoughts, and all you got to do is just find the information to get over. So how do
Yeah.
you go from how do you know what to put in that flex space, how big of an oven to get, how to line up the, let's say, the production line. Where do you
Yeah.
even learn that stuff?
Yeah. It's a very good question. Well,
Yeah.
we go back to ask for
Yep.
help.
Yep.
Who I asked for help was the Oregon Department of Agriculture gal that, you know, told us we needed to move in the bakery space. I'm like, hey, can you help us
Fantastic.
like move or at least get us lined up? You're the one who goes and sees all these bakeries throughout
Yep.
the town and you know, gives them the A-OK that they were up to code. And so that was a huge asset for us. She was
Mm-hmm.
guiding us through like all the hoops. You know, we had to go through the local county, we had to go through the city. There's just all these things
All
that
these things
again
you got to
you're not aware of.
do.
And then I also go back to the way my corporate work experience like translated to how I wanted the bakery laid out because in logistics, warehousing, you know, Six Sigma, you know, kind of like that whole methodology of like how do you efficiently go from point A to point B? Well, in baking, there's like 12 steps, baking and shipping cookies. So
Mm-hmm.
it's like designing that was actually pretty easy, believe it or not, because
Wow.
you had to put your oven and your mixer because those are like 240 volt, you know, they have to be
Yep.
stationary, so they had to be on the walls.
Yep.
So you don't want your oven close to your dough because then it melt, you know what
Yeah.
I'm saying?
Melted.
Like,
Yep. Yep.
so and we're not talking about the biggest space in the world, and so it was relatively easy. But just
Nice.
my corporate experience, like helping, we went through 3 warehouse renovations
Yep.
working in a warehouse for 8 years.
Yeah.
So kind of just like doing that experience of like, hey, where do we want this aisle to be located next to the shipping and receiving area? You know what I'm saying? Like you
I
just kind
do. I
of,
do. I
yeah,
do.
yeah, yeah.
And
So
a lot of entrepreneurs would have just like created the space. And I'm sure you worked it, you and Marie worked it for quite some time, but
we
you
did.
either have employees or contractors or something. What's the staff size, and when did you decide that, hey, look, it's time to start bringing people in? We're actually going
Yeah.
to be we're actually going to have employees at this point.
Marie and I were like debating that the whole time once we like signed our lease. We're like, do we need employees? Like the orders were manageable, like the way our corporate jobs were working at that time, it was fairly easy to like after, you know, 2 o'clock, 3 o'clock to start baking cookies for like the next day's orders or whatever the case may be. But we decided to hire one team member in August for our opening day in September. And that really was just so we had someone there that can like help us and we can like start implementing what our business coach was, you know,
Yeah.
we wrote all our processes out before we moved into the bakery.
Hmm.
Just so we have like some SOPs, we can hand that stuff off. And you know, she's actually she still works with us almost two
The
years.
business coach,
No, the our
that
first
employee,
team
that
member.
employee.
Yeah,
Yeah.
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 So yeah, that was how that happened.
Okay.
Yeah, that,
That's
and
awesome. And
now we have 5 employees.
you have five
So
employees, man. I love
yeah,
your business. I really,
yeah,
really do. Do you intend on, actually, for scale purposes, if you can say, and if you can't, that's
yeah,
okay. Is this
yeah.
a five figure, 6 figure, 7 figure? From a revenue perspective, how large is
Um,
this?
high 6 figures.
High 6 figures. Awesome.
Yeah.
Um, I again, so everything about Try Life On is a notion of lifestyle design. I mean, I told you at the beginning of this, I split my time between Maryland, which is where I am today, in my
Hmm.
kitchen.
Hmm.
And although I travel to a lot of countries, I was just in Norway. I live in Lebanon now too, in coastal Lebanon, because I wanted this phase of my life to be very oriented with nature. I love the Mediterranean Sea. It's where I feel the best. I consider myself much more of the businesses that I do are much more lifestyle businesses than they are, I want to make it this massive thing. And I think a lot of people are chasing money, but forgetting that one of the aspects of money is to create the lifestyle that you want. So I'm curious your perspective, you and Marie's perspective on how is this business supporting the lifestyle that you want? Have you considered growing it? If you did grow it, would that stick you at the production facility all the time, and that's not the life you wanted? Like, and also you transitioned from, which is what I did. You transitioned from doing the Grove and your employer at the same time, and now you're just doing the Grove full time. So there's this aspect of like, okay, I finally jumped. So just give me your perspective on just lifestyle, the size of the business, how you got out of how you knew when it was okay to get out of the W-2 world. Because I really, people are like doing entrepreneurial stuff and they're
Yeah.
creating another 9 to 5 for themselves without thinking about lifestyle itself. So here you are
Yeah.
with a wonderful high 6-figure business. What are your thoughts on that?
Yeah. My thoughts are in any business, you need a team. You
Yes.
need systems and processes in order to make it a lifestyle business or make it a business that you're not drowning in.
Yes.
There's a great book. I don't know if you read it, but The E-Myth.
I heard about
Yeah,
it.
yeah. So it's so foundational, but it just that's how we look at everything is like how do we write things out so someone else can take care of it? So,
Yes.
I'm here at home right now. The bakery team is at the bakery.
Yep.
I'm a stay-at-home dad, right?
Yep.
So,
With a 6-figure, see, that's beautiful. That's beautiful.
yeah,
And you've
so
given people jobs and you're giving customers good product. It's awesome.
yeah, we're definitely trying that. The way like we kind of have envisioned this like business is not to be some overarching like wake up and you're like, God, I hate this thing. It's like we deal with cookies.
Yeah.
It's
It's supposed
happy.
to be fun. It's got to be
Our
fun.
core
Yeah.
values are relationships, joy, and gratitude.
Oh
That's
man.
how our whole business is intertwined. And that's just my wife and I's personality. It's like, how do we intertwine our beliefs
Mm,
into the business? And that's from our business coach. Like that's
love
not
it.
me like making that one up.
I get it. Yeah.
Uh,
I had a
but
coach
it but
too.
it's a fantastic way to like you talk about designing your life.
Hmm.
If you can create a business that's, you know, I wouldn't call it like passion. I would call it like you can design your business how you want. Like you're a perfect example of that.
Yeah. Yeah.
You
Yeah.
literally design your business how you want. People, I think it maybe happens or people are just aren't aware is like they, like you said, they start a business and then they become wrapped into the business.
That's it.
And
That's
then
it.
there's no, I'm not gonna say I separate my life from my business because I love my business, but
Yeah.
I'm
But
always working.
that's a passion. You
But it's a
clearly have a
passion.
passion for it. That's a
Yeah.
different thing. Yeah.
Um, but yeah, I think that's where you kind of get the burnout.
Yep.
Um, and this business has been a lot of fun, and we get to meet cool people. Like I'm talking to you.
And I'm learning. See, that's the funny thing is,
Yeah.
as I told you, on a large scale, I'm in the real estate space, large
Mhm.
scale. I've probably touched about 300 million of it in the past 4 years or so.
Amazing.
But I have great partners.
Yeah.
It's not just me, but I have great
Yeah.
partners and great investor partners and stuff. But I'm so fascinated. I'm not fascinated by the $1 billion enterprise thing. I don't care, to be honest. We don't
Mhm.
need that much money to live. I'm grateful to people like Elon Musk, not his craziness, but actually his ability to change the world
Yeah.
with like a thing like Tesla and solar. And he's really trying to do some good things. So there's a passion there. But this notion that we have to go out and be the 100 millionaire or 50 millionaire or billionaire to have a good life is so stupid. And I'm
Yeah.
saying that on purpose. It's stupid. We don't need that much to live. We can, and this is the notion I wanted to get across to people as they're listening. If you are going to exit the 9 to 5, first of all, you don't have to exit the 9 to 5. 9 to 5 is great. If you love what you do what you love. I think it's a wonderful thing. But if you're going to exit the 9 to 5, think through coming out of the 9 to 5 and you're going to be entrepreneurial, but don't create another 9 to 5, the exact same thing that you just exited. I was coaching one person who bought 3 Subway sandwich shops, added a couple more in his 3rd year, and he found himself right back into the stressful 9 to 5 life because he always had to be where he was. And the premise that he forgot, which you articulated, which I wanted to sum up for the people listening, was to be a good business owner, you almost have to, as you said, have systems and processes, but put yourself in a position where you are working yourself out of the business if you need to.
Yeah.
Our job as owners is to work on the business, not
Yeah.
in the business forever, unless it's a passion the way you're talking about. But you have an option clearly because you're home with the baby and doing your thing. So I just think it's the way you've set it up and the way it seems to be running just from the outside perspective
Yeah.
looking in, dude, you really created something special. Um, what would be, just as we wrap up, what would be, so as I told you, a lot of people listening want to start a business or they want to do something radically different for their life. If you had to give people one piece of advice, whether it's Grove related, family
Mhm.
related, because it's you and your wife, which I think is awesome. You guys are partners. What would be one thing you would tell them that could help them try life on more, kind of the way that you're doing
Wow. Um, if
it?
I had
Stumped you, man.
one piece of
Yeah.
advice, listen to your wife or significant other. Just run with
Boom.
it.
Boom.
No. That's what that I didn't come into this with like an expectation of doing any. I never thought I would leave my corporate job.
Yeah.
No, I was like, man, already got 14 years here. It's a full federal government position. Had started working there way early on. I was 23 when I got hired on. Um,
Mm.
and I didn't have like those like ambitions of being an entrepreneur. I wanted to be successful in my career.
Yeah.
Um, but you know, life life has its ways of working when you say yes.
I love that.
So that's what I did. I said yes to my wife.
I love
I
that.
just, yeah. So that's my piece of advice is be willing to say yes to opportunities as they arise, even if they don't even look like opportunities.
Yeah, and they will be there. And there's a Try Life on. So I do all these principles with my coaching students, and one of them is just do and course correct along the way.
Yeah.
You and I have done the exact same thing. I was like, I don't know how to do a real estate thing. So my first real
Yeah.
estate deal, I went to the library, got a book, brought it to the
Yeah.
closing table, and followed what it did. And
It-
just like, let me close it.
well, that's what's so fun about talking to you and you're asking me. It's like, tell you, you've lived like 10 lives. Like you are the definition of someone that just said, like, I'm gonna do this and I'm gonna do it. And you did it and you
Yeah,
executed. It's like your background and just following you and your history and like what you're doing now to me is what it inspires me to try to do more.
oh, thanks, bro. That means a
And
lot, actually. Yeah.
and I just find it so cool the way you share your story out in LinkedIn world. Um, as a true inspiration for myself
That's
because
awesome.
Maurice is doing a lot. Why am I not?
Dude,
So there you
we got
go.
this one life,
Yeah.
man. We got 28,000
Yeah.
days in the average lifetime. I'm not
Yeah.
sitting around waiting. You sure haven't. Marie sure
No.
hasn't. I was very fortunate to run into the Grove Cookie Company. It has given me thoughts of like what other, because I sense my real estate acquisition days are slowing down.
Mhm.
I don't need a lot. That's not what's going to make me happy pressing repeat on that. It's been 27 years. I sense there's something new. I talk about it in posts sometimes where I say I've gone up a mountain, reached the top, and I'm going back down. I think I'm
Yeah.
headed back down. I think I'm headed back down. Something like the Grove Cookie Company, I know nothing about it. And that's what excites me because I know
Yeah.
nothing about it and you want to learn about it, right? So
Yeah.
now I have a potential business coach that I met on this podcast, and I'm glad that you agreed to come on. And I know we missed each other once or twice, but I was
It's all
stoked
good.
to get you today, brother,
Yeah.
and it's my pleasure to meet you.
Well, thank you so much, Maurice, and I wish you well. I need to go visit Lebanon one of these days.
I will. I have a feeling I will be in that region for the rest of my life. So
Oh,
track me
amazing.
down. Although I just
Amazing.
went to Norway for the first time, that was really really cool. But listen, and just because you asked you said that statement about Lebanon, and for folks listening, the Grove Cookie Company is a passion of yours. Try Life On, I'm not getting paid for this. It's a passion of mine to help people understand that you can go about life different.
Yeah.
where I live in Lebanon spoke to me so much. This little fishing village that I found. Every time I'm there, I feel at peace. So why would I care? You
Amazing.
can imagine my family. You're living where? Right. So it's like you're a brother from New York City, Boston, and DC, and you're doing what? I don't care. I think we should
Yeah.
find things that resonate with us, find places that resonate with us, find partners in life and business that resonate with us, stick with it, and have zero F's about the opinions of other people to go execute on that. And man, you've executed on the Grove. So my pleasure, brother. And I will be waiting for that cookie. I will send you that address.
Yeah. And you hit the biggest word in the world, execution.
Execution. You just do it.
There
You
you
just do
go.
it.
Thank you so much.
My man, thanks for joining.
Bye-bye.
Hey guys, this is Maurice, host of the Try Life On podcast, and thank you for listening to another episode. I hope you are finding it useful and helping you design your own lifestyle that you don't need a vacation from. If that's the case, please consider dropping a review for me, whether in Apple, iTunes, or in Spotify. Drop a review, put some stars on it, give me some feedback on how I can make the podcast better, what information you are looking for. I am doing my best to get information to you on the Try Life On principles, the 5 freedoms, how to build lifestyle, travel hacking, all of it. And I want to do it for you. So please do a review for me. And until next time, my name is Maurice Philogene, and this is the Try Life On podcast. Peace.